All right, today we're going to pull back the curtain on big tech and explore something pretty fascinating, this powerful symbiosis. We're going to uncover some really surprising connections that link the industry's biggest players, and you'll see why a win for one is, well, pretty much a win for them all.
So think about it. When Google's profits are through the roof and YouTube has us all glued to our screens, who do you think is popping the champagne? I mean, yeah, obviously Google shareholders are happy. But what if I told you the real biggest winners are actually hiding in plain sight? You know, the biggest winners might just be Google's fiercest competitors. I'm talking about companies like Microsoft, Nvidia, even Apple. I know, it sounds completely backwards, right? But today, we're going to untangle this powerful, almost invisible ecosystem that ties all of these giants together. To really get this, we have to start at the very bottom, with the foundation, the actual physical hardware that makes our digital world go round. You can think of this hardware as feeding on data, creating this kind of technological black hole that is just constantly hungry for more and more processing power.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. What you see here is a perfect loop. Every single time you search for something on Google or watch a video on YouTube, you are literally feeding data into the system. This data is what trains these super powerful AIs like Gemini. But to process all that information, that takes an absolutely incredible amount of computing power. And guess who provides that power? Hardware giants like Nvidia. It's a direct, almost beautiful chain reaction.
So, here's the bottom line. Google's massive growth in software and AI isn't just a win for Google. No. It directly translates into a massive revenue explosion for the companies that build the physical backbone of the internet. They completely depend on each other. Okay, let's move up to the next layer of this whole thing and see how it builds. If data and hardware are the foundation, then you can think of Google's platforms as the bustling crossroads of a huge digital empire, directing traffic for the entire digital economy. Think of Google Search and YouTube like the main highways of the internet. They're not just there for their own sake. They bring billions of us into the digital world. And once we're on these highways, what do? We visit digital shops and businesses. And what do those businesses run on? Microsoft software. And where are they hosted? Amazon's cloud servers. See? Google builds the roads, and pretty much everyone else gets to profit from all that traffic. And this right here, this is the core secret of big tech. Sure, publicly, they're all rivals. But behind the scenes, a rising tide really does lift all ships. A growing Google is great for Microsoft. A dominant Amazon is good for Meta. They're all floating in the same ocean.
This brings us to the deepest, most powerful connection of them all. It's about how the dominance of one single company creates this unbreakable defense, a moat, if you will, that protects the entire system. Look at how this works. It's pretty wild. By setting the global standard for search, for video, for mobile operating systems with Android, Google creates a stable, predictable world for everybody else to build on. Developers create apps for Android, sure, but that also enriches Apple's App Store. The standards Google sets just make the whole digital environment stronger, which reinforces the ecosystems of its so-called competitors.
This quote just nails it. It reframes the entire discussion, doesn't it? We really shouldn't be thinking of these companies as individual players duking it out. We should see them as different parts of a single, massive, self-reinforcing system. And that's what we can call the digital empire. It's an ecosystem where the whole is so much more powerful than the sum of its parts. And if you can understand this system, that's the key to seeing where the real value is being created. So naturally, this all leads to a very practical question, right? Especially for those of us thinking about long-term investments, like for retirement. If the real power isn't in any one company, but in the system itself, how in the world do you bet on the system?
Well, the answer is you buy a piece of the whole empire. You can do that by investing in a big tech exchange-traded fund or an ETF. Just think of an ETF as a basket that holds little pieces of all the major companies. This way, you're not just betting on one king to win the battle, you're investing in the durability of the entire kingdom, capturing all that value from their collective symbiotic growth.
This chart shows it perfectly. Look, a single stock can give you some incredible gains, for sure, but it also comes with way more risk and volatility. An index that tracks the whole system, like the Nasdaq 100, captures that powerful, collective upward momentum, but with a lot more stability, simply because it's built on the strength of the entire empire. So, if there's one key takeaway from all of this, it's to shift your perspective.
Stop looking at the tech world as just a series of zero-sum battles. Instead, start seeing it for what it really is, a powerful system that's pretty much designed for collective success.
And that leaves us with one final thought for you to chew on for your own strategy. When you look at the future, are you going to place your bets on one individual champion, or are you ready to invest in the entire unbreakable empire?